Hi, everybody. This is Christian Basel with Mark-Who42, and we just want to take the time to thank everybody who's contributed to our show to ensure that we continue to bring you the latest news, reviews, and interviews throughout the Whoniverse and beyond, like our friends at Audible.com. Right now, you can actually go there and get a free 30-day trial and a free download. Just simply go to audibletrial.com/Mark-Who42 and sign up, and that's all you have to do. And if you'd like to contribute directly to the show, go to www.mark-who42.net and hit the donate button on the far right-hand side. Contribute whatever you can give us so that we can bring you this show. Thank you again for everybody who contributes, and thank you for listening.
Hi there, this is Sophie Aldred, who played Ace in Doctor Who, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. That's right, Mark Who 42 here on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and I want to say Series 9 has started with a bang, and this episode we're going to be reviewing the prologues and the episode, The Magicians-Apprentice. But you know who I've got with me? I've got
Trisha Helm. Very, very excited. That was an awesome episode.
Oh, yeah.
And Eduardo M. Fryer, and I'm doing the happy dance, but not just because Season 9 is premiered, but because of certain other news.
I'm Christian Basel, and I've had a long night of Halloween Horror Nights since their premiere yesterday, which would have been this past Friday, and I am rock and roll Christian Basel.
All right.
Always bring a Les Paul to an axe fight.
If you're in Central Florida and you're listening to us, you probably got to see our commercial. That was cool, wasn't it, Christian?
Yeah, I had my fingers crossed. That was our first video commercial. We definitely want to thank Gene Turborough of Krypton Radio
and Iggy Matthews
from Let's Be Reals for designing that and putting that awesome commercial together. If you haven't seen it, go to our Facebook site right now. Go to our website, mark-who42.net. Check it out. It is there for all to see, and I did record it, and both commercials came up during the show, so it was great.
Wow, you have to send me a copy of that. Somehow learn how to record from your DVR so I can see it the way it's put in. But anyway, enough of that. You know what? Christopher Eccleston won't come back to Doctor Who, but you know what? I see number 9 right in front of me. Number 9? Number 9? Number 9?
Do you want to come with me? And now it's time again to go to the Whoniverse and beyond with Mark Who 42 news correspondent Patricia Helm. Patricia, you are fantastic!
Most of the news that's been coming out since the last time we talked has all been speculation on, this first episode of Doctor Who, so there's really not too much to talk about with that. But there was a couple things that came out that are pretty awesome, at least in my opinion.
Oh, they are pretty awesome.
Happy dance!
Happy dance.
Mark, you get to throw away your anti-Clarin pretty soon, I guess.
Yeah, my anti-Claritin gets thrown away soon. Because why?
Because Jenna-Coleman announced that she is leaving Doctor Who this season.
As a classic comic fan, Mark, I'm sure you'll appreciate what I have to say next. Not a hoax, not a dream, not an imaginary story. She's actually leaving!
But you know what? She's going to be Queen Victoria, so she's actually stepping up.
Yeah, well, see, this is the thing. I don't have ITV. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to watch her be so smug and superior to the Doctor.
Well, BBC America could always get it because they got Broadchurch from ITV. So,
or it could be worse. She could be Queen Victoria from before Tooth and Claw. And
no!
Did anybody even think about that happening?
No.
Impossible Queen.
No. She's the most important character in Doctor Who, and now she's the most important character in Torchwood. You've just ruined my day, Christian.
Torchwood. There you go.
Christian,
she couldn't just leave it.
Stop.
The happy dance is over.
Just let the door hit her on the way out.
Well, there is speculation that she's actually going to be killed off.
Woohoo! Sorry, I
And
shouldn't do that.
They're saying that it's going to happen in episode 10, The Face of the Raven, because Moffat did say that of the three, the Doctor, Clara, and Rigsy, that not all of them will make it out. One of them will face the Raven.
She could already be dead. I don't think she is, and we'll talk about that later.
The very next episode, Heaven Sent, that's the one where the Doctor's on his own.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Maybe episode 10.
Silly, possibly.
So it's kind of hard to do a countdown to Clara leaves because we don't know when she's leaving.
Nope, but you know what? As long as
and I thought we had a new segment for the show. Oh, well.
The whole point is that she's leaving.
Jenna-Coleman, we don't hate you. We just hate your character. That's all. We like you. I want to see you as Queen Victoria.
Hey.
I'm excited about your new role.
I liked her cameo in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. And you know what? I liked her in Magician's Apprentice. I didn't take my anti-Claritin, and I watched it 2 times in a row. I didn't need to take my anti-Claritin. I actually liked her in this first episode.
I did too, except there was a few parts that I didn't, but
okay.
Overall she wasn't quite as bad as she normally was. But the other bit of news that came out is that River's song, Alex Kingston, is going to be returning for the Christmas episode.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Of course, notice there's one crucial thing that they didn't say. Are we talking pre or post Library River?
Well, I hope it's pre, because I heard there's going to be bickering going on, so I'm thinking they're still alive and married and just having fun.
Well, I have a question going back to the name of the Doctor. Remember, at the end of the episode, she questioned whether Clara was alive. If Clara was dead, then how could she be in that room? And the Doctor asked, okay, how? And then she said, spoiler. So I'm wondering if her appearance is going to explain something about Clara's disappearance.
But that would mean that Clara would show up in the episode, maybe in flashback scenes. But the good news is Jenna-Coleman has filmed her last scene. She is no longer filming Doctor. She's off the show in terms of filming. We just have to watch her for the rest of the season until she goes.
I'm going to be the Claire supporter for this because I was talking to a lot of fans who, when that article was released, that they were all sad. They were like, some of them, it was their first companion. They didn't want to see her go. So
yeah, Clara's actually been popular. We're actually the minority in this. People like Clara. So, Mark 42 has not, but, what can I say?
So if you need a support group to get started, come to mark42.net or our Facebook site.
Yeah, the Facebook site has had very nice words about Clara from the fans who have been watching, and you should come to mark42.net and the Facebook site, and regardless, really, drink, and I do have a hangover from last night's reunion, so, yeah.
You should have a prairie oyster, Mark.
I need a hair of a dog is what I need.
Yeah, do a prairie oyster.
I've never had a prairie oyster, but we'll talk about it later.
Guess who just joined Twitter?
Who just joined Twitter?
Michelle Gomez.
Oh,
God.
What's her Twitter handle so we can get people to sign on to that?
It's at Michelle Gomez.
Oh, yeah, that's hard. That was
hard,
too hard to figure out.
Oh, yeah, that's too hard.
Yeah, I never would have thought to type in her name.
She just signed up 15 hours ago, and she already has over 8,000 followers.
Wow.
And
was her first Twitter post, say something nice? Of course, if it was Anthony Ainley, his first one probably would have been, peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. The following message is vital for your survival.
Well, before we get into reviewing the episode, I want to tell everybody right now that BBC has been nice. And they actually posted The Magician's Apprentice onto YouTube.
Oh.
So pause the podcast right now. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it, and then you can come back, and then you won't be
right, yeah, because we really don't want to give spoilers to everybody. I mean, that would really suck. So you got to watch the episode. And it is available on YouTube. Why don't we get off of this and let's get on to the prologues. Let's talk about the prologues, because there were prologues that came out last week before the episode came out that really take place in the middle of the episode, but they are so cool and we should talk about them. Trish, you are our moderator as news person, so go for it.
All right. You want to start with the prologue that was on Karn?
Yes, the prologue that's on Karn. The one that's called Prologue.
Okay.
That's what it says at the beginning.
That's actually true.
Yeah, you know what? You gotta love the name. I mean, that was very imaginative.
Yeah, it took a lot of hard thinking, Mr. Moffat. Very good for you.
Give him a break, I guess. Yeah.
Working
hard now. So it opens on Karn with the Doctor talking with the Sisterhood of the Karn, the leader. I don't think she has a name.
We last saw Karn in Night of the Doctor, didn't we?
Yes. Yes.
And, of course, Brain of Morbius. But Night of the Doctor is where the Eighth Doctor drank the elixir and turned into the War Doctor. So, I mean, the Doctor is tied in with Karn.
Yes.
And according to the spin-off media, isn't Karn even tied more so to Gallifrey than we've seen on TV?
The Sisterhood of Karn are from Gallifrey. They're not Time Lords, but they are from Gallifrey. But that was inferred in Brain of Morbius, and it was definitely talked about in the books and Big Finish.
And they've also opened up a Starbucks that can control Time Lord regeneration, which is kind of cool.
Exactly. It did look like a Starbucks symbol. But okay, we're Night of the Doctor reference. You probably.
Could you imagine if they handed out the cups and they said fat, thin, man, woman, and that's what you changed into as soon as you drank it?
So the prologue takes place on Karn, right? Yeah.
And he's talking with the leader of the Sisterhood. And basically he's saying that he's done something that he needs to make up for.
Right. They're talking about the fact that he did something wrong and that he has to help somebody who is his enemy. An enemy is just a friend that you don't know well enough, which is a very doctory thing to say. And it's interesting because during the whole prologue, you're getting the idea in your head, oh, they're talking about Missy. But they're not! And you find this out during The Magician's Apprentice. But it was weird because for a week and at Space Coast Comic-Con, when I was talking about the prologue, I said it was about the Master. It wasn't, was it?
And this is going back to Into the Dalek when he came up to Clara and he said to him, I've been around for 2,000 years. I made a few mistakes and it's time I did something about them. So I thought they were going back to that. They're finally explaining that, which hardly got any introduction into the first season, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. When I saw the prologue, I didn't think it was, oh, the Doctor had made a mistake and he wants to rectify it. The conversation to me felt a lot like it was more, like everybody else, I thought it was the Master that they were talking about. And I thought it was just something where the Doctor felt he kind of owed him a debt, because they've known each other for so long. It didn't feel like the Doctor was like, oh, I've screwed up, I gotta fix it now. It felt more like, well, I've known this guy for hundreds of years, and I really should go to him. And the head of the Sisterhood kind of being like, no, you may have known him for that long, but you don't have to go.
Right.
It didn't feel like the Doctor had made a mistake. I mean, that kind of came in after the episode, and then all of a sudden it's like,
we definitely learn about what mistake he made, what he did.
Christian, are you saying that when he first talked to Clara last season that he was talking about this?
That's what I'm thinking, the direction they're going.
But the thing is, think about it. When he met as a kid,
hold on. Let's not use the D word. Let's try to avoid that till we get to the review. I want to be cryptic.
Well, okay. Well, then when the Doctor meets that person, he looks like he looks in the rest of the episode. He doesn't look how he looked when he was talking with Clara. He's, all clean cut and everything.
Yeah.
It goes back to that. I don't think that was his intention, because when we first see him on the planet, he doesn't even know what's going on. But he made that statement at the very beginning of his first season and did nothing about it through the rest of the series. So now it looks like we're coming back to that question.
Well, the first scene in Magician's Apprentice could have happened before. It doesn't necessarily mean it happened at that time. So, yeah, I do see what you're saying, Christian.
I think it's a bit of a stretch.
That could have happened in some point between Deep Breath and Into the Dalek.
I think that's a
stretch. They weren't on the TARDIS together. They were separate, and it was just a piece that they pieced together. I mean, I'm trying to help you, Christian, on this one.
But he's still wearing the same clothes. The hair's not messed up.
Well, there you go. So
his character. We don't start seeing the character until we start seeing little snippets from the caretaker.
Yeah,
don't start seeing snippets about his character in its strengths until the caretaker flatline. We don't start seeing a story, or at least scenes that support the Doctor. But as far as that's concerned, I think it's Moffat going, wait a minute, I think I left this behind in the first series.
I forgot to put this scene in, so let's put it in now.
Okay, you guys are both forgetting something.
Yeah.
Because remember, in the scene in the beginning of The Magician's Apprentice, what does the Doctor lose, or what does he leave behind?
is Sonic, and he has a Sonic all through last season.
There you go. So that
and he overuses Sonic.
I didn't acknowledge. I said that I don't think it's possible. I think that was a stretch. So
Right.
yeah,
I was just trying to help your cause. I didn't realize you were giving up on your cause.
it's fine. I think it's Moffat going, wait a minute, I just saw the second episode and I left this back over here, so I need to start explaining this now. And we are getting that. We're getting to where I think we are analyzing Genesis of the Daleks and now looking at it and scrutinizing even more than we thought we were doing it.
Well, we will be talking about Genesis of the Daleks when we're reviewing Magician's Apprentice, because there are some very important ties in there. So the Karn conversation, the Doctor gives the head of the Sisterhood of Karn the disc.
Yes, it's called the Confession Dial.
Which definitely is a last will and testament given to your closest friend the night before you die. It's a Gallifreyan tradition, and he gives it to the head of the Sisterhood and says, you know who to give it to. And it's interesting because, again, there was a misdirection. Because we thought that they were talking about the Master, we thought, so Clara's going to get the confession dial. Moffat, you got us.
By the way, Mark.
Yeah?
And actually, this goes to everybody. The head of the Sisterhood of Karn, her name is Olena.
And she was in End of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Let's move to later on during the week when the meditation premiered at the 3D movie event of Darkwater, Death in Heaven, and then all of a sudden appeared, of course, all of a sudden. Where else was it going to appear but on the net? And so people got to see it, and they got to see it on BBC America on Friday. We put it on the website so you could watch it there. This was a very funny prologue, the meditation. It was hysterical. It definitely was to get you into a jovial mood before they shocked the hell out of you on Saturday night.
That was funny because, the doctor's sitting in this room surrounded by candles, and it looks like he's been meditating really hard. And Boris comes in, and the doctor's like, how many days have I been here? He's like, you've been here for 3 hours. 3 hours? Yeah, he couldn't believe that it had only been 3 hours. The 12th Doctor is not a very patient man. Yeah, he says that he, this is his last night and that he needed to meditate. And then he decides that he needs proper water.
Yeah, because the water wasn't good.
Wasn't good.
God, this is Earth
This
water.
is just a procrastination ploy on his part. And so,
oh, boy, was it a procrastination.
Yeah, was it?
How many days did it take, and how many wells did they drill?
I don't know how many, but just after the, first couple days, it's like, this is the 12th well you've made us dig. And then, it goes to 8 to 11 days later.
This is a very watery grass. Oh, this grass is perfect for water. Oh, it's here, it's there. It was hysterically funny. And then they have the well, and it looks like a modern well. It doesn't look like a well from medieval times.
They're like, this is the finest water in the land.
Yeah, but you know what we're missing? We're missing something.
We're missing a visitor center. And Boris looks like he is just about ready to kill the Doctor.
I would have.
Yes.
But Bohr is kind of his servant because his life was saved by the Doctor before the episode had began.
Well, from a splinter.
Well, hey, splinters can really hurt.
And back then, if you get an infection, that could mean death.
Yes. Okay, so Trish has figured it out. Good.
Of course, did anybody notice the chess piece that Boers had did seem to be very lion-esque?
Yep, it did.
We were talking to Patty earlier, and he didn't like the well scene. That was, I think, one of the only things he didn't like. And looking in retrospect, I was sitting there going why is he making these people dig a well over and over again? And how is he convincing them that they can keep digging a well for days and not get anywhere?
It's a Monty Python sketch, Christian. They were doing something silly.
He's their magician. They like all this stuff that, look, what he does later in the episode with all of them. They adore him. So,
I
they're
got
going
that
to
part,
do.
but I'm just trying to figure out why he's making them do it, why he's doing this.
He's procrastinating.
He's procrastinating, and he's trying to keep his mind off of what's going to happen.
Yeah, because later on, we find out what the steps of a Time Lord's death are, and he's trying to avoid that first step.
Also, I was reading somewhere that somebody said, hey, if he's having a problem meditating, he could build himself a zero room. I'm like, yeah. I was like, why didn't he?
Well, he doesn't want to. That's it.
He was trying to pool his resources, get himself ready to face what he had to face. Meditation is an Earth word. It may not be the same thing on Gallifrey.
Trish was saying he's procrastinating. I think this is what's going on. It's not that this is how Gallifreyans meditate. It's that the Doctor doesn't want to face what's coming, so he's trying to stretch everything out.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to think about everything that he's done. A lot like 11. 11's the one that forgot, and 12 is the one that wants to avoid, I guess.
And so his one last day turned into 3 weeks because of the well. He got a little time before he had to sacrifice himself, if that's what he's going to do, which was brought up in the Karn prologue that he was going to make the ultimate sacrifice.
That really wasn't brought up on the Karn prologue. The Karn prologue was just he had to do something. Olina was saying, well, you don't have to. He said, yeah, I do. But then he's kind of like, the last thing he says is, I'm just going to hang out for a while. He's already starting, okay, I got to do this, but not right now.
Right. Well, but he gave her the disc. And the disc is supposed to be given the night before you die. So he really was only supposed to have 1 day.
Well, he did what his predecessors did, like the 11th Doctor at the end of time. He just ran off when he knew it was coming. I think the 11th Doctor did the same when his end was supposed to be coming.
Yeah.
Didn't want to confront it, but then eventually they all had to turn around and go, okay, I've got to do this. So he's doing typical Doctor, just running away from it, just not confronting it, maybe thinking about it a little bit, but as Trish said, procrastinating and just going like, no, it shouldn't affect me right now.
Well, Clara had once told him that he has attention deficit, what do you call it? So
The Doctor's meditation, when that ends, he's talking to Boris about a battle. And it transitions into a scene where we see soldiers running on a field. And actually, the episode, The Magician-Apprentice, starts right from there.
Oh, yes. And if you want to learn about how that episode began and all the stuff we know and want to tell you about it in a review of The Magician's Apprentice, stick around. We'll be right back here on Krypton Radio. Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit amazon.com/shops/markwho42. That's amazon.com/shops/markwho42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Kid? Yes? Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG and Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth and Beyond the Night, only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the drawbridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all 4 Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TFG and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become masters in space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything exciting.
Hello, this is Lisa Bowerman, a.k.a. Professor Bernie Summerfield, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
And we're back with more of Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio. Well, before the break, we were talking about the prologue and the meditation, the 2 prologues before Series 9's first episode, The Magician's Apprentice. But it's time for the review of the episode. Remember, if you haven't watched the episode yet, please stop where you are right now, watch the episode, and then come back. We do not want to spoil this for you. It was a masterful episode. See what I did there?
Yeah, we saw.
Fun.
As much as we didn't want to see, we saw. No. You got to do that as a guitar riff.
Wow.
Wow.
That was a great episode. I've sat through it 2 times already. I'm going to sit through it again after we do this. It was just so good. I loved it. And the opening scene was the closing scene of the meditation, wasn't it?
Yes. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Now, that battle, is that Skaro?
Yes.
Or is it another planet? It is, okay.
That battle is Skaro.
Okay.
If you remember from Genesis of the Daleks, they were fighting with weapons from different periods because the war had gone on for so long, just like this one. There were biplanes, there were laser bolts, there were bows and arrows. They were using whatever they had, whatever they could find to use as weapons. This definitely was a pre-Genesis of the Dalek Skaro.
Okay. I have yet to see Genesis of the Daleks.
It's interesting that during the interview that Will Wheaton did of Jenna-Coleman and Peter Capaldi at the Doctor Who event, the 3D Doctor Who event, when Will Wheaton asked them what episodes you should go back through to get ready for the season, Peter Capaldi said, well, you should go through the history of the Daleks. Study the history of the Daleks. And he totally gave it there, because this episode was before, during, and after Genesis of the Daleks.
I have yet to see that. I know, but it was on this morning, the day that we're recording.
Yeah.
They actually were showing it on BBC America, and I DVR'd it, so I will be enjoying that later.
I can't believe they're showing the Tom Baker stories. They're showing a lot of them. They're going to have breakfast with Baker.
Yes.
That's a great idea. Maybe they could have picadillos with Pertwee. Or
that's not going to happen.
Dinner with Davison. They should do that. This is great.
Yeah, while Mark is procrastinating, let's move on.
I'm procrastinating, and I don't want to procrastinate, so let's get it. Trish is going to run this because she is our news person, and she's so lovely anyway. Trish?
Aw. You're too sweet. So it opens with these soldiers running through this battlefield. And like Mark said, they're using all different kinds of technology because one soldier, his name's Konzo, he was trying to take down a plane with a bow and arrow, or he was going to attempt to. And at first I thought, he must have some pretty special arrows if he thinks he's going to take down a plane with that.
They borrowed them from the CW.
Ah, that explains it.
Yeah.
Well, rocket arrows, explosive arrow.
The boxing glove arrow.
Are you making fun of the boxing glove arrow?
I love
Don't make fun of the boxing glove arrow. Don't make me come over there.
How about the Patriot arrow?
Oh, there you go.
That might have actually worked anyway.
That was the arrow from the Robots of Sherwood that we lost. He found it on Skaro.
Oh, that's it. Two of the soldiers see a boy running in the opposite direction, and they're surprised to see a child on the battlefield. And so they chase after him, and they catch up to him, and they stop in a field, and they realize they're in a hand mine field. I have to say, those are pretty freaking scary.
They were.
It's like, it was from the, we saw them in the trailer, so it's muddy hands that have the eye in the palm of their hands. And we didn't know from the trailer what they do, but we certainly do know now, don't we?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah, poor Konzo.
I would not want to be grabbed by one of those hands because I don't want to get sucked down into the ground. I'll tell you that.
And when you get sucked, you get sucked. That was
fast.
Oh,
my God, yeah. And what's interesting about the boy is Anakin Skywalker.
Is it?
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Wrong
That's
series.
an interesting analogy.
It's the wrong series. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, when did we get on Tatooine?
Well, there was sand.
It was muddy.
Okay, muddy. You're right.
The area was kind of sort of marshish. Yeah. It wasn't quite desert. It was more kind of had a marsh.
But Anakin Skywalker appears.
No.
No. You're bringing the prequels into this, Mark. Don't do that. No prequels.
So the kid is standing there and he's yelling for help. And then we hear the doctor's voice. Well, first we see a sonic screwdriver being tossed and the doctor telling him to pick it up, which he does. And the doctor starts trying to talk him through, saying you have 1 in 1,000 chance to make it through this alive. He's like, just focus on that 1%, and 0.1%. And he's trying to talk to him, and then he finally says, tell me your name. Tell me, who's the boy that's not going to die today? And then the boy reveals his name.
And this is the shocker, folks.
He says Davros. Yeah. And the doctor gets this look of horror on his face. And the boy's like, are you going to help me? And what does the doctor do?
He leaves. You have to see Genesis of the Daleks to understand this. It's actually shown a little bit later in the episode, but this is a pure Genesis of the Dalek moment. Tom Baker's doctor asked a question, what would you do if there was a child that you knew was going to grow up and be the universe's worst despot. And I think that situation just happened. Yeah. Cue title scene.
Then we end up at a little space bar called the Moldovarium.
It's nice enough Simon gets a mention.
Yeah, it's the bar that Dorium.
It's his place. It's his place. I love that.
Someone where Dorium met River and gave her, the vortex manipulator. Yeah. And then we have this interesting character come slithering in.
And slither is the correct word.
Yes, it is. And when he first slithered in, we turned the closed captioning on during the second viewing. And because I couldn't understand what they were calling this character. And the name of this character is Colony Sarff. Sarff.
I understood the colony part.
I understood that too. And he's trying to find the doctor.
Yeah.
And he's very adamant.
Colony Sarff's appearance right away answers one of the questions from the trailers.
Right.
We saw Colony Sarff and we're like, wait, is that pre-regeneration master? And turns out, nope. I gotta admit, when we find out why Colony Sarff is looking for the doctor, I kind of had questions of my own regarding that.
I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but did anybody else think the Mara just a little bit?
No.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the same Snake Demon High School.
Well, I haven't seen the Mara episode, so I didn't.
Definitely want to go to that high school. I did see a few postings that said, geez, everybody now knows where that King Cobra is in Florida now. Made a special appearance on Doctor Who.
Yeah. Colony Sarff, you might as well give it away now, is a bunch of snakes.
Wrapped around a big snake.
Wrapped around a big snake.
They're a colony because they kind of act as a unit.
Yeah. And what was cool with the Moldovarian, so we had a Steven Moffat creation, we had a nod to Dorian Moldovar, but then the next scene took place in a Russell T. Davies invention, the Shadow Proclamation.
Yes.
And we saw Jadoon. That was cool. And we saw the leader of the Shadow Proclamation.
Yeah, and she knew who Colony Sarff was, what he was, and also knew that he was working for Davros without even being told.
Yeah.
But they want to know, what does Davros want with the doctor? And he just kind of slithers away.
The Shadow Proclamation is supposed to be so badass, but wow, what's with their security if Colony Sarff can just slither in? I mean, what? Did they have, the B Squad guarding the door?
They must have an open exhaust port somewhere.
Yeah. Did they have some elderly Jadoon just kind of I'll be there in a minute, just...
No, they acquired their same security that was protecting Missy on Airbus One. Red shirt them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
After that, we go to Karn, and it's the Sisterhood talking to Colony Sarff. Basically, they're saying, you're not welcome here, leave our planet, or we will take your skin. I liked that line. Showed how badass they were. The doctor is there. He's hiding behind a rock. Obviously, this is where the prologue took place.
Yeah, the prologue, I think, takes place right after this scene.
Yes.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because Colony Sarff leaves.
Well, before he leaves, don't remember, he leaves a message. Davros knows. Davros remembers.
And the 12th Doctor, or the 14th Doctor, whatever you want to call him, remembers also, because we just saw the scene before the credits, and so he knows that he has to face Davros, and that's where the conversation that we thought was about the Master, about the enemy, comes into play.
Of course, then the Sisterhood's line, that when she says to the Doctor, you owe that creature nothing, that makes more sense because, to me, I don't really think of the Master as a creature.
Right.
So.
Well, then again, I mean, the line could still apply to the Master only because, well, I don't think creature is meant in a literal sense. It's Olena's way of saying you don't owe that a-hole nothing.
Well, interesting enough, in the line before Clara is supposedly going to shoot Missy, she mentions Missy as a creature. If you let that creature live, everything today is your fault.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
And we will get back to that a little bit later.
Did anybody notice on Karn, Colony Sarff is about to do the whole thing where he throws off the hood and his giant snake form shows up, but notice he stopped.
Because his powers weren't going to work there thanks to the Sisterhood.
You have no powers here. Be gone before someone drops a house on you.
Nice.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, without showing too much, we got a nice little hint that the Sisterhood, they got abilities, they got power.
Well, that explains the witch's familiar there.
Well, then we go back to Colony Sarff with Davros, and he's telling Davros that he can't find the doctor. And Davros tells him, well, if you seek the doctor, first seek his friends.
And that was kind of obvious, and I don't know why he wasn't doing that in the first place. The Doctor's downfall is always the friend or companion. The Doctor has compassion, and he will not let anything happen to the people that are with him, or at least try not to let anything happen.
Mark, this doesn't just apply to the Doctor. It's kind of a heroic trope. You really want to get to the hero, you got to get through his friends, his girlfriend. Right. You know, if somebody wants to stop Superman, it's either get the kryptonite or kidnap Lois. Yeah, exactly. By the way, one thing about Davros and Colony Sarff. So Davros decides to send King Hiss out there. Yeah, I did a Masters of the Universe reference, so sue me. Sends the Snake Man out there. So is it that he didn't want to send the Daleks because he didn't want to give the game away? But then again, the Shadow Proclamation knew that Colony Sarff worked for Davros. What, does Davros not only have Daleks, but he keeps a bunch of names on speed dial? I don't feel like using Daleks. I'll call Colony Sarff. Hey, are you busy? Can you go look for the Doctor for me? Yeah, thanks. You know.
So now we actually transition to Coal Hill School, where Claire is doing her teacher thing. And one little funny part, I thought, how does she know that Jane Austen's a phenomenal kisser?
Well, that's from curiosity. She was curious, and she found out.
Anyway. But Claire looks outside, and she notices that there's a plane stuck in the sky. And
it was just hanging there.
Just hanging there, not moving. And so she gets called in by Unit, which kind of annoyed me in a way because another teacher or an office person comes in and tells her that she has a call. It's like, why wouldn't you just call her cell phone?
Well, she may not have her cell phone on because she's teaching a class.
Well, she just told
she just turned on the cell phone. But Unit knew that she wouldn't normally have her cell phone on during a class.
But isn't Unit supposed to be secret?
Well, yeah. She shouldn't have just said out Unit. She shouldn't have said it out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not to mention, geez, you know.
But, after the Atmos thing, Unit probably is known. Torchwood is what's not known, but Unit might be known now. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know where the secrets... Because, to be honest, after Daleks invade Earth and Cybermen and stuff like that, how do we not know there are aliens around? Like Jack Harkness says, the beginning of the 21st century, where everything changes. Unit might be known now.
That's true.
Because there are aliens. People know there are aliens.
So Clara goes into Unit, and she meets up with Kate Stewart, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they're trying to go through all the possibilities. Then they start getting a text message on the Doctor channel. Now, is the Doctor channel, is that the
Doctor channel
earlier?
Is from an unaired episode. There was never a Doctor channel. That was completely made up for this episode.
Okay. I was not sure.
It was an untelevised adventure, an unwritten adventure, an unaudioed adventure, an unadventure.
Why didn't they just use the time-space radio or the...
Oh, that's a hookup between the Doctor and Unit. Well, I guess they could have used it. They used it in the 50 if they were trying to come up with
still
something.
Stuck in the black archives.
Yeah.
They start getting a text message, and it's, hey, Missy, you're so fine. You're so
fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Missy.
Missy, yeah. And so they realize they're getting a text message from Missy, and then she pops out of the monitor, like in this 3D hologram thing. And
psychic projection. And
tells them to come find her, because she needs to talk to them. And she says, she needs 8 snipers, 3 for each heart and 2 for her brainstem, because if they're going to take her out, they need to make sure she doesn't regenerate.
Right.
So Clara goes to meet Missy, and it looks like I know they filmed it in Spain with the architecture and everything. Maybe it's supposed to be Spain.
I've been to Spain, so probably that would be south of Spain, because the architecture did have kind of a Middle Eastern vibe, but in that establishing shot, we do see there's a cross on one of the buildings, so I'm probably say southern Spain.
She said it was hot, and she said, how about 4 o'clock, which, it couldn't be very far from England in that time period. Anyway, so Missy's being really bratty to Clara, asking about Danny, is your boyfriend still dead? And then Missy then proves that she's the one controlling the planes, because there's over 4,000 planes stuck up in the air. She actually uses her, little device that she uses to kill people. She uses that it's also a remote control device, apparently, and she moves a plane over them to put them in the shade because she knows how easily humans burn.
I kind of wonder, is that kind of Missy's iPhone? Because, hey, it disintegrates people. It can freeze stuff in a time lock, It's kind of multi-purpose. And, hey, maybe that's what she used to call them, too,
Yeah.
Laser screwdriver.
And then that's when Missy takes out the doctor's confession dial and puts it on the table and tells Clara, what it is, saying basically it's a Time Lord version of a will, and it's sent to the doctor's dearest friend. And so Clara goes to pick it up thinking that it's her, and it zaps her. And she's like, "What? I thought..." And Mercy's like, "No, you're not his dearest friend." This couple walks by with a dog. She goes, "Look at the couple with the dog." She says, "You're the puppy."
I love that. I love that because she is no longer the most important person in the universe in Doctor Who. She's a puppy that just doesn't really have any responsibility.
She's a tin dog.
Tin dog, yeah.
Missy's concerned because she knows that this is only delivered when a Time Lord is dying, and she wants to find the Doctor. And Clara doesn't get that Missy could be the Doctor's best friend and everything, and she just says, "Missy, are you turning good?" Which was the wrong question to ask Missy, because she decides that she needs to kill some people in front of her to prove that no, she is not turning good. So they decide they're going to try to find the Doctor, and Clara asks Missy, "How does a Time Lord die?" And Missy says there's, basically 3 steps. Meditation, which we saw, repentance and acceptance, contemplation of the absolutes. So see, that's why the Doctor was trying to avoid doing the meditation, because he didn't want to meditate on all the stuff he's done because he's not ready to repent and accept what he's done. At least that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I don't know if it's that. It's just, meeting up with somebody like Davros, not exactly I don't know. It's not something I think anybody would want to do. And, we do have a sense of history where we said it before, the Doctor, whenever he knows the end is coming, kind of tries to dodge around it. So this could be just playing to form, something unpleasant I have to do. Let me procrastinate as much as possible.
So they decide they need to find the Doctor, and so Clara has a computer, and they're working with Unit, and they're trying to pinpoint all the areas that the Doctor has, made noise. But then Clara comes up with the idea that the Doctor, at this point, he's not going to be someplace where there's a crisis going on. So they take out all the areas of where the Doctor has made noise to isolate areas where there wasn't any crisis where he was. And it turns out to be only one place, which is 12th century Essex.
Which we got to see in the meditation.
In the meditation, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when Missy slaps a vortex manipulator onto Clara's wrist, and they both disappear. And they go right to where the Doctor's at.
And we're on the 21st day of the meditation.
And there's a big party going on.
Yeah, and Bors and he are going to have an axe fight. But not the kind of fight that Bors thought he was going to get. I love Peter Capaldi and his guitar. He used to play it in his punk band Dream Boys way back when with Craig Ferguson. And he is just so wonderfully fun with the axe, with the guitar. It definitely shows that the Doctor is not this grumpy, he can have fun. We're finally having the 12th Doctor having fun.
Well, first of all, it was kind of cool seeing Capaldi with the guitar, and axe fight, axe, ha 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 ha.
It was a funny joke.
It felt to me more like an 11th Doctor type of thing to do.
He used to be the 11th Doctor, and like he says in a line of dialogue, he wanted to let all his previous selves be at the party. Okay. He wore a bow tie the day before. He wore a scarf.
Yeah, I remember
to emulate everybody.
I remember that line. I guess this was a very cheap way for Moffat to have callbacks to the previous Doctors without actually calling them on the phone and going, "Hey, can you guys show up for..."
Oh, no, that happens later. That happens later.
Well, if the rumors are to be believed. That said, though, it was cool, but at the same time, I'm like, really? Do we have to go here?
Comic relief for a very stressful episode.
Well, I will say this. It's a good thing they were looking for the 12th Doctor, because imagine if they had tried to use that algorithm looking for the 3rd Doctor. Would Pertwee really have been there with the guitar? They probably would still be looking, because the 3rd Doctor probably wouldn't have had the guitar and the tank. He probably would actually be doing something a little quieter. I'm sure that other Doctors probably would have gone to, Leonardo da Vinci and been standing over his shoulder while he painted the Mona Lisa and gone, "Are you sure you don't want to go with the blonde?" or something like that.
The fish tank was funny, too. Stick around, folks. You'll get it in 300 years.
I don't know why, but when that tank came in, the first thing in my mind kicked in was Time Bandits, the ending of Time Bandits. I don't know why it came in.
Dude, yes.
Dude.
Oh, but then... he spots Clara and Missy, and he starts playing Pretty Woman for Clara, and then he ends up playing Hey Mickey when Missy enters. And then Colony Sarff appears and basically tells the doctor, you're coming with me. And he throws down the doctor's old beat-up sonic screwdriver.
The one that he left in the hands of Davros.
Yes. And Clara's like, why does he have that? And he's like, well, I don't have a sonic anymore. Clara says the doctor looks shameful and asks him, doctor, what have you done? And that's when doctor says that he'll go with him. And he says goodbye to Clara and Missy, and that's when Clara says that she and Missy are going with them. And Colony Sarff takes all three of them and they teleport away. And that's when Bors comes out, and this is where I was totally shocked.
I was ready for that. I knew Bors was more... I didn't know he'd be what he was, but I knew he was more than just the idiot who was digging wells. I knew there had to be more. So I was not shocked.
We find out he's a Dalek puppet.
Yep.
He's got the little stalk coming out of his forehead, and he finds the TARDIS, and we hear a Dalek voice saying, procure the TARDIS.
That scene where it turns out Bors was a Dalek puppet, well, first of all, when would he have been turned into a Dalek puppet? Was it during all the well building and the community center nonsense? And plus, I just gotta say, that was my DAMMIT MOFFAT moment for the episode. You introduce this funny companion in Bors, and then Moffat going, well, did you like him? Well, guess what? He's dead, because now he's a Dalek puppet.
Gotta kill them all.
I'm telling you, I'm blaming the fandom that was all like, Moffat kills everybody I love.
Yeah,
became a once again, self-fulfilling prophecy. Moffat just decided, oh, that's what you think I am? Okay, here, do you like this guy? Well, now I'm gonna kill him, because that's what you say I am. Damn it, Moffat.
Anyway, they're now on Colony Sarff's spaceship, heading for Davros, and Doctor is telling Clara about Davros, and basically his history. He says Davros made the Daleks, but who made Davros?
Well, we kind of know now.
Yep, we kind of do, yeah. But they're being held, it looks like they are, arriving on a space station, and they're, in a holding cell, and Colony Sarff comes to take the doctor to see Davros, and he tells Claire and Missy they're going to stay there. And as the doctor is leaving, he just says to Missy, he says, gravity. And she's like, I know. And then he leaves, and that's when we have the scene with the doctor and Davros. Davros says, did you miss our conversations? And that's when he starts playing clips of past doctors.
That was cool. Hearing all the previous doctors.
Mark, do you remember Trial of the Valiant?
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't know or don't listen to Big Finish or just need a recap, do you remember the scene where the Sixth Doctor is trying to figure out where he is, and he jumps up and down and finds out he's on the space station, but it's not orbiting Gallifrey? So when she's dancing all over the place, that's what she was
doing. She was testing.
She was trying to figure out where she was.
Totally.
Well, remember we had a similar scene in Kill the Moon.
But unless we talk about Kill the Moon in bed.
But yeah, I do like that the two big clips, when they showed all those previous Doctor conversations, that the two big clips were Genesis of the Daleks.
They had to be, because the story is key on that. Genesis of the and people say Genesis of the Daleks was the start of the Time War. No, I think this episode was the start of the Time War. The Doctor made the opening gambit. By running away and leaving Davros.
Mark, hold on a sec. It wasn't just people who said Genesis of the Daleks is the start of the Time War.
Russell
it was RTD. It was Russell T. Davies. So if what you say is true, this is Moffat saying, okay, Russell, I'm going to actually set it earlier.
Yeah.
So he's actually trying to one up Russell T. And by the way, the fact that Davros has had the sonic screwdriver this entire time, does this mean that every appearance of Davros up till now, he's had the sonic screwdriver kind of tucked away in a little pocket?
The fact of the matter is Davros is saying he remembers. He might not have remembered the confrontation as a child until he was dying, a memory came back. Something traumatic happened. He did get deformed.
Okay, regardless of whether he remembers or not, is this episode basically implying that every appearance we've ever had of Davros, the sonic screwdriver has been kind of off to the side?
Yes, Davros has had it somewhere all this time.
So Missy and Clara, they step out of the space station. It looks like they're walking on space, but Missy says it's ground. And after they're out there for a little bit, Missy realizes that when you sync with the atmosphere, then the rest of the planet becomes visible to you. And that's when Missy realizes that they're on Skaro. And she looks terrified about that.
Time Lords would look terrified.
And of course, the last time she was on Skaro, she was executed.
Well, the TV movie. Right,
yes. this Dalek city appears, and she's like, they rebuilt it.
Then the Daleks come and capture him, yeah.
And they take him into a room where there's the TARDIS, and they said they're going to destroy the TARDIS. And Missy starts to explain to them what the TARDIS is, and that they could use it to control the universe, but they need her to show them how to use it. But they decide to use maximum exterminate. And they shoot her, and she disappears. But
Missy is dead.
No.
Well, no. I'll explain why. Missy is dead. Go ahead.
Then the Doctor starts begging Davros for Clara's life. I mean, he's even on his knees. And Davros is like, I made the Daleks, but I don't control them. And so Clara, she's decided she's going to try to run, and then she gets shot.
Clara is dead. Missy and Clara are dead. I will explain later. Keep going.
Okay.
Okay. And Davros, he says, just say it one time, Doctor. Compassion is wrong. And then the Daleks start firing on the TARDIS, and it starts glowing bright white. And then that's when we change back to a scene with Davros as a child, begging for the Doctor to help him. And then all of a sudden, the Doctor appears behind him, and he's like, well, how'd you get over there? And the Doctor says, from the future. And Davros asks, are you going to save me? And the Doctor says, I'm going to save my friend the only way I can. And then he points a gun at Davros and
one
says,
of the Dalek guns.
One of the Dalek guns.
Yeah. Now, this is why I say that Missy and Clara are dead, because this scene takes place after that instance. He goes back to the kid. It's not from the beginning that he goes there. It's after they're dead. He is trying to change the timeline to do something to bring Clara and Missy back so that they never got shot by the Daleks.
That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks, but that's not. I don't think that's what happened, because they're both wearing vortex manipulators, and Missy even told Clara that hers is linked to hers, is a slave.
To hers, right.
So wherever they go together. And I think, and just like Missy, just hang on.
Hey, let her talk, man.
Mark.
All right.
So they're linked together, and just like Missy escaped from the Cybermen the first time, or it looked like she got killed, I think she has it set so that if she is in mortal danger, it teleports her away.
But we saw the Dalek ray hit them and their skeletons and the white. It was a standard extermination.
No, but I think she has it set to make people think that.
Well, we'll have to disagree on this one, but we're going to find out next week.
That said, I have to agree with Trish. I'm sure that Missy's vortex manipulators have some sort of failsafe. Although, I have to say, did anybody here watch the Matrix movies, like all three?
Yeah.
I don't know. With the fact that we know Jenna-Coleman's leaving, and then the rumor that Claire is actually going to get killed off, this kind of reminds me a little bit of when Trinity was dying in the second one, and then you had Neo save her life, but then what happens in the third one? She dies permanently this time.
Right.
I mean, are we going to now have, throughout the season, a bunch of fake-outs of Clara dying until she actually dies?
That's a possibility.
Is this going to be the Clara fake-out death season?
I mean, we had a Rory death season. Why can't we have a Clara death season?
Now, when the Doctor says exterminate to Davros, do you think that's where Davros gets exterminate?
Which I'm going to actually put two of my rumors together here.
Okay. Yes, I heard you had rumors.
Okay, first one is I don't believe the Will and Testament too much. I think the Doctor created to pull Missy out of somewhere. I think he needed her help, but he wasn't going to walk up and ask her to it. But if he put out something like that Will and Testament thing and sent it to her, she's going to be curious. I really think that was something to attract her to help him with whatever the problem was. He knew that he was going to fight this war, but I don't think he wanted to do it alone. I think he knew he needed Missy's help, but he wasn't just going to walk up and say, hey, Missy, help me. She would never do that. But if he put a riddle together like that Will and Testament thing, what was it? The
confession dial.
The confession dial. She would be curious, because for the only way to find out what was in that dial, he has to be dead, and that's what Missy wants, right?
Yeah, she wants him dead, but then again, she does seem like the type of villain that, okay, I want so-and-so dead, but it has to be at my hand.
On my terms.
Exactly. Who gets to kill them? Me.
Possibly. But granted, if the Doctor knew he was in trouble and needed somebody of Missy's caliber, he's not going to walk up and ask her. That's just not going to happen. But
look at what she did to get Clara's attention. She put lives in danger.
Right.
She couldn't.
Same thing.
Instead of just walking up to Clara, she put all those lives in danger, got Unit's attention.
Because Claire wouldn't have wanted to do that. Maybe she could have convinced her of the Doctor, but this is Time Lord theatrics for the renegades out there. They just can't go, oh, I need your help. They've got to put on a show. My second theory is long shot. I don't think he turns the gun on Davros. I think he turns the gun on those hand mines, because I'm beginning to listen about what's going on. And remember, the Doctor mentioned that an enemy is a friend you just don't know yet.
Right.
And
so he's trying to make him a friend so that he doesn't create the Daleks?
No, I'm not going that push.
Oh.
I think the next episode, which is familiar, they're going to start a relationship. Because you get to see, those pictures are between him and Davros and the Daleks.
Right.
And I think he's going to start... Because remember, when the Fourth Doctor in Genesis of the Daleks, they had that one meeting that Patty mentioned where they're both geeking out with each other. Davros still wants to kill the Doctor and, split open his brain and find out what's inside. Right. But they have a respect for each other, a legitimate respect. And I still think that respect goes on even to his 12th life, that they're going to start to geek out again and figure out things. And I think when he says, I'm going to save my friend, he means Davros. And he shoots the hands instead.
All right.
That's my guess.
I can see where you're coming from, Christian, and I can probably agree with you because I rewatched that, the next time preview over and over because it looks like Davros is giving the Doctor a chance to kill all the Daleks or even reset.
Right.
What happened.
Change the timeline.
Because, he says, imagine to hold in your hand the heartbeat of every Dalek. Genocide in a moment. So many backs with a single knife. Are you ready to be a god? And as he says that, you see Davros' hand moving the Doctor towards something, like the Doctor's going to do something. Well, it reminds me of, the Fourth Doctor where he can make that connection with the two wires and kill everything.
I can see that theory playing off. I think he's putting him in that comfortable position. He's putting those two wires back in his hand, so he said, you want to try that again?
Exactly. That's exactly what I think,
and
too.
think about this, because I'm giving you a chance to blow up what I started. And I think that's when you're going to start seeing maybe not a friendship, but a respect for what Davros is, where he got it from, and how much of that did he learn from the Doctor when he saved his life. And that's why I think when he takes a Dalek gun, he's actually shooting those mines. Because he left at first when he found out it was Davros and going like, F this, I'm out of here. I'm saving Hitler, Then I think he finally realized, hey, I'm coming back, and he's holding those two wires again. He goes, this time I'm not going to put those wires together. I'm going to keep them apart. So this was his second chance. That's my opinion on that.
Regardless if he shoots Davros or if he shoots the hands, and to be honest, the hands make more sense. It is the opportunity to change the timeline.
The other thing, the stuff that Davros was saying in the next time, it could also be sort of a variation of what Missy did last season. It's this sort of telling the Doctor, well, you're not such a good guy. And here, I'm going to prove it because I'm going to make you commit genocide. I'm going to make you kill off all these people.
Well, the Daleks think he'd make a good Dalek. We learned that last season.
Well, yeah, that Dalek from Into the Dalek did say you would make a good Dalek. So it's, again, that whole thing of telling a villain, telling the Doctor, you're not such a good guy, and I will prove it, because I will make you a killer on a racial scale. You'll kill an entire species.
So who will the Doctor shoot with the Dalek gun? We'll find out next week when we watch The Witch is Familiar, and you'll hear our review of that next week here on Marku 42. Don't forget to go to marku42.net and join Hooniverse Army, and like us on Facebook. Tweet us at Marku42. Go to FloridaGeekScene.com, Geekcast Radio Network. Go to Krypton Radio if you're not listening to it on that. We are on 4 times a week there. You can listen to our old shows on TuneIn, at our site, and a lot of places around the net. Just Google or Bing Marku 42. Any final words from the gang?
Still happy
I'm
dancing.
I'm happy.
I'm still happy dancing because we know Claire's going to leave. She may survive getting blasted by Daleks, but she ain't gonna last for long. By the time the season's over, we'll have no Clara.
I get the feeling that the three of you, if we took out Davros and put Clara in the hand field, you guys would shoot Clara with no problem.
Actually, no, I wouldn't.
No comment.
Well, no. No, the thing with the hand mines is you're supposed to stand perfectly still, right? What I would be doing is I would just be throwing stones at Clara to get her to move, It's like, I have to stay perfectly still. I know.
Or Mark would actually transport her up with the time manipulator up to the Adric ship right before you just...
There you go.
Dinosaur.
There you go.
Keep an eye on us for the month of October. While we continue the reviews, we're going to have some specials going on for our Halloween month. So keep an eye out for that and any special advertisements that are coming out that month.
And see us at Time Lord Fest, Hurricane Who, and
Great Basin Geek Con, and Snafu Con, and maybe even something else. But you know what? We're going to keep that a secret for now. Shh.
And for all of you who just joined us at mark-who42.net, welcome, folks. Enjoy, like us on Facebook, and keep listening. You're going to love what you hear.
To close this episode, we're going to play you a trailer from next week's story, The Witch is Familiar. Until next time, so long, Alonze, and bye.
Are you ready, Doctor? To hold in your hand the heartbeat of every Dalek on Skaro. Send them death. Exterminate!
Mark Who 42 was written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, Christian-basel, and Eduardo M. Pryor, with Wink Taylor as the Doctor. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit mark-who42.net and register to join and be a part of the Whoniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@mark-who42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, christian-basel, at mark-who42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.